Advent is the most neglected, but also the most appropriate season for deep and transformative spiritual reflection on the fragility of the world. All the more so following the COP conference in Glasgow, of which some have simply said it was a failure, though that does not get us very far. COP is far more than the posturings of world leaders. The leaders, in particular, of the most powerful nations have not shown themselves to be equal to the distress and confusion which is occasioned by the signs in the skies, in the turmoil of the oceans, and their part in the knowing and systematic destruction by manifestly unjust systems and practices of the sacred life of which we are part.
Have you seen any world leaders?
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 Don't let them live before they pay.
And despite really encouraging goodwill, not many churches have really yet got the bit between their teeth as to the difference between, on the one hand, reaching for the stuff to do with creation box on the mantel shelf of worship and of things we keep ready for a special occasion, and on the other hand, actively recycling and repurposing the amazing resources with which we are gifted as Christians, gifted to encounter threat, catastrophe, and problems that just won't go away, rather than issues which can be attended to with a committee or two until they fade from consciousness into the filing cabinet or the recycle bin, whichever is the most convenient. Eco-congregation, I think, does have some marginal effect on this process, on this transformation, and may turn out to have had more than for now it appears. But we do need leaders on board, as well as widespread grassroots activists who support and encourage those leaders to get their backs behind the cart of the church, mired in the cloying fiction of our irrelevance, or captive to politeness over our imagined lack of qualification to contribute. Now, while entitlement as an attitude can be toxic, it is Christ, it is love that entitles us. Spirituality is the chief driver of behaviour change, as well as a powerful force for institutional inertia. So, in Advent, be of good cheer, for we are churches, not just any old civic society organisation. And if in our lifetimes we've been playing at what church might mean, now's the time not to stop that game, but rather to turn pro, to play the game of church for real, in which I'm just as likely to be outraged by the rhetoric of so-called activists who claim that hope is pointless or not permitted, as I am by those who still doggedly maintain that to disregard the warnings which the Bible identifies as from God amounts to some sort of superior faithfulness. No nation and no church can any longer be unaware either of the clarity of the chain of responsibility for the crisis, nor of its global and irreversible effects, as in the rise of sea levels and the loss of biodiversity, nor will any solution stop the crisis in its tracks. And yet those who believe they have most to lose while for now inflicting loss on others have shown by their intransigence how much they need to hear the voice of the earth, the wisdom of the indigenous groups who were much more visible and vocal at COP, I believe, than ever before. They have shown with compelling clarity how urgent is the empowerment of women, which is proven to be a positive environmental factor, and the greenwashing perpetrated by the fossil fuel exploiters now looks so utterly ridiculous to those with eyes to see and ears to hear, which means those of you who do not get bogged down in worry or turn to those false friends of drunkenness and dissipation. Yeah, Jesus was in the temperance movement, so it appears. self-care is the more vital to maintain our critical faculties, our alertness. Activists must not burn out by trying to do everything, because that is just another brand of the loveless, entitled arrogance that is killing the planet. And some things will be beyond us. I can't make every church green. I can't even compel them to celebrate conspicuously how green they already are. But we must not let these conditions of mission destroy our hope, nor our determination to heal and remake what we can. If Paul, as we heard, visited and encouraged the Thessalonian church, he would have helped them discern both what to take and what to leave, what they could do and what they'd do better to leave alone in the living out of their faith. And Paul's approach to the Thessalonian church, the source of his realistic, sustaining joy, was not unduly concerned with power politics, with who's in charge. And I wonder if his diverting ambition to preach to the tyrannical emperor was ultimately far more a thorn in his side, in the flesh of his mission, than anything else that scholars have speculated on in that respect. Paul's joy, by comparison, was in the responsiveness of grassroots Christians alert to the signs of their times and the very real threats to life and love and faith. We have seen in our congregations how the deepening of faith and the strengthening of community goes together with environmental action, commitment and prayer. COP has brought us together, or more accurately shown us our togetherness, and that whoever is not against us is for us. In Scotland, the different faith groups have never been closer, without compromising their beliefs or their identity. Perhaps we had made an idol of COP, thinking that it would do the job for us. But the fate of idols is usually destruction, whether in despair or anger. Now we know different. COP is off the hook. We give thanks for the limited progress it really has brought, whilst strengthening our hope, resolve and awareness for the days that are to come.